95.7 the fan, 95.7 the game fans, audience members. Get on the phone lines right now and pound that number, 888-957-9570. How are we feeling now with free agency coming up on Sunday, June 30th? What is it, 3 o'clock West Coast time? How confident are you in the Warriors in re-signing Klay Thompson? Or are you in the camp of, this is good news, the Warriors need to move off of Klay Thompson? See, I've come to the mindset, Shasky, that a separation for both parties maybe was best. I'm still kind of trying to wrap my head around Klay Thompson possibly not being a member of the Golden State Warriors, because everything we've heard from the Warriors is they want Klay, they want Klay, they want Klay back. When you read Slater's report and negotiations are frozen, Klay has been miffed and there's been some friction between the two parties. Is Klay really going to go to Orlando Magic? Have we seen Klay Thompson play his last game in a Warrior uniform?
Look, hearing his perspective, Brandon Kravitz, it sure feels like all of the things that we've now learned over the last couple of weeks feel to be sticking points for Klay Thompson. It feels like, and not sticking points, just things that would pique his interest are like checks. Like they're checking off boxes.
Right.
So let's start with the role, because I think the role is very important. I believe that the specific role that Klay wants, it just feels like to me that is an important thing. Starter, as many minutes as possible, shoot as much as you want, which is kind of a given with someone like who's as good as Klay Thompson in terms of prolific shooting. And then you just look at what they need. I mean, their guy with the most three-pointers made was Jalen Suggs, 153. Yeah. Clay's doubling that.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially, if you prorate what he would do with them, and he'd probably get more open looks.
Well, that's what I'm looking at. Look, I know what Klay is defensively. There's going to be some pitfalls. Offensively, he's going to shot hunt. But when you have Paulo Banchero and Franz Wagner who have the ball in their hands and it could break down the defense in the half court, that drive-and-kick game was missing from the Golden State Warriors last season.
Yeah.
A drive-and-kick game helps Klay Thompson out tremendously.
Well, and even someone like Cole Anthony off the bench is somebody that I believe is like a willing passer and can help set him up. So, I don't think he just fits with the starters. I think he fits with a lot of their combinations. So, he clearly fills a need. Shooting. Right, period. And notice how they didn't bring up defense and two-way player and all that stuff. Then the other part is, okay, they have the money that to him, to Klay, I do believe that there's a level of respect that he, both internally from the Warriors and externally from whoever a potential opportunity would be, that he would desire. Hey, I want to be valued at X or whatever. Just stroking the ego, which again, I don't think we say ego, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
No,
we all have that in every walk of life. We have that.
Why does Klay get lambasted for having an ego or some confidence check? I mean, the guy was a four-time champ.
Anderson. Let's go to I'm not trying to just pick him out. Just the first name that popped in my head. I'm sure he has an ego to a certain degree, right?
They all do.
So you get the money, and then you get the years, which. It does sound like these guys want the year. Just an NBA player X want the most guaranteed years that they can get. Plus, you might get a player option.
You might get the 2 years and the third-year player option. That may be a sticking point there. That may be, but what's the yearly average? Is Klay taking 25? Because I don't think he's going to settle for $18 million.
Well, seeing Malik Monk basically get about 19 and a half over a 4-year period.
And that was the most Sacramento could offer him.
I was shocked.
I was too.
That he, stayed there. Clearly he likes the situation. But I also believe that had he been blown away, I don't know Malik Monk, and I don't know how much he loves Sacramento. There's always people who leave a little on the table to stay in a spot because of quality of life, professionally and personally. So I can't understand that aspect. But if someone's offering you $10 million more per year, approximately, which is what I thought he'd be closer to 30.
I thought he was getting 30 for sure.
Me too.
I thought he was getting that.
But I think what that told me was two things. Number one, I still don't know what Klay's market is. And number two, teams that already have 2 max players paid for are unwilling to flippantly overspend on the middle class players in the NBA. No doubt. And I feel like the CBA and how difficult it is to navigate has basically scared everyone else in the league. And look, Boston's in the luxury tax. I know Denver is kind of in there. Clippers are heavily in there. Lakers are in there. Those teams are seeing how difficult it is to maneuver and make moves once you've locked in certain contracts. Now the other teams are a little scared.
Yeah.
Especially those mid-market teams that we always saw as overpayers to get someone to come there. The fact Malik Monk didn't get $30 million or close to $30 million, that shocked me.
It did shock me. Maybe it's his brotherhood with De'Aaron Fox. Maybe it's just Sacramento being a low-key area where you don't have a lot of media members. You're not the media capital of the world. You can kind of fly under the radar. I have no idea. I was stunned, though, that happened. Now, focusing back on Klay Thompson. If he did go to Orlando, I'm with Niner Empire on YouTube. Klay does fit in Orlando big time. Here, we need him to play make and be a shot creator. Klay's never been that. He's never been that. If he goes to Orlando, he doesn't have to worry about that at all. You have two guys, Paolo Banchero, who one gets to the free throw line, operates in mid-block, can step out for three. Franz Wagner could get to the rack at will. They have size and strength and physicality in Orlando. He can play defense and press up on guys, and if he does get blown by, he's got help in the back end. Not only that, you just stand on the three-point line in Orlando, the happiest place on earth, with Disney World right there, and he's sitting there.
It's the happiest?
Yeah, I don't know if it's the happiest. I'll just throw that in there. But I think about guys like Rashard Lewis who signed down there. I think about Hito Turkoglu and whatnot, and how they reinvigorated themselves down in Orlando. Look, it gets laughed at as like a small market team or whatnot, but Orlando has had big years, and they've been able to sign big-time free agents. Tracy McGrady on line one. Grant Hill on line two. Didn't work out for him because of the injuries. He goes in Orlando. He's going to have plenty of open shots. He'll be a veteran on that team. And as he mentioned, Jalen Suggs, to me, is the X factor. If Jalen Suggs gets his three right, and he's a point guard who defends at a high level, that takes a lot more pressure off of Klay at defending opposing guards, which he, let's be honest, can't do right now. No. Can't do it anymore.
But like, the other aspect that I don't think we've brought up yet is, the state income tax is another factor.
Yeah.
So like, not only would you make, let's just say hypothetically $30 million, you're not getting taxed as hard as you would in California. So let's say that the Warriors can, whatever, they offer $25 million.
Yep.
It's not a $5 million difference. It's actually a bigger gap than that.
Yep.
And with something we do in football and in baseball, we talk about the money. We don't talk enough about that in basketball, I feel like. Especially if all of the contracts are going to be close to equal. There are some perks. That's why Dwight Howard ended up going to the Texas State. Was also
Houston.
But it was also because they limit the amount of child
support.
Yeah, because I remember that was a big sticking point for him as well.
Yeah, no state tax in Florida. So 888-957-9570. How are we feeling about Klay this morning? Now that the report came out with Anthony Slater, we're going to talk to Slater on Wednesday. Is this good news for the Warriors to let Klay? Because there's a loyalty factor here. And I think a lot of people assume that the big three would retire together. And, in sports, not everything ends in a fairy tale type of way. It's not a storybook ending.
Bonte, it's time for you to do the legal.
And I don't, and I'll do the legal in a second. I don't think, is the business messy here? Do you find that the Warriors have been messy? I don't. The Warriors offered 2 years, $48 million. They didn't get anywhere. They weren't close on the deal, so they haven't been at the table.
I am surprised that it's been so, what's the word? I don't know. Difficult in terms of, it doesn't feel like both sides are actively going back and forth. I don't remember specifics on the Draymond free agency, but it did feel like, hey, he's going to test free agency and we'll allow him to see what his market is and come back to us. I'm not getting, at least the wording from some of the articles and the people that are in the know, it doesn't feel the same. This feels different. And, saying that the talks are frozen, could they thaw out? Sure. But that's a different message than what happened with Draymond. Draymond was go out there and see what you're worth and come back to us and we'll do the best we can. Whereas it feels like with Klay, like, we want you at this and we're driving a hard line. And if you don't like it, tough. And I'm surprised it's so stern.
In Slater's piece, he wrote, there's been no traction between Thompson and Orlando Magic, according to league sources, despite some initial mutual Interest. There's expected to be interest from other cap space teams and some longer-term offers on the table in the market that could always move in unpredictable directions. It's always possible Thompson's best offers may end up smaller in money and shorter in years than many predicted or expected, leading some to presume that that'll lead back to an inevitable reunion with the Warriors at a rate both sides are comfortable at. So it is still possible. It is still possible he comes back to the Golden State Warriors as you're listening to 95.7 Game KGMZ FM and AC1 San Francisco and Odyssey Sports Station, always live on the free Odyssey app. Don't forget that you can also watch us every single day on our YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter streams. Brought to you by First NorCal Credit Union. For a low-rate auto loan, apply online or just ask for First NorCal financing at the dealer.
Doesn't it feel, to me, it just feels like to me, the Warriors have made it very clear. The role here is a lesser role than what Klay would like.
It'd look like the 28, 27 minutes per game. Unless they're thinking about just 15 to 20 minutes per game. I don't know what they're doing. What role are we talking? Are we talking a Brazilian blur type of role, Leandro Barbosa? Are we talking 6-man of the year role? Are we talking 30 minutes a game, 25 minutes a game?
Lesser.
What is the role?
It just feels
what
lesser.
Well, because lesser, they tried to go lesser when he came off the bench, and they realized that, damn, we don't have enough shooting without him.
There's no doubt. They tried to, but I also believe that, like, to me, it feels like this. They still view Draymond as a big part of the starting and closing, no matter what. And it's tough because there's other guys, but like they don't view Klay that way. And I think if I were Klay, I would be pretty pissed about that too. Like, hey, that guy, because we all came in together, but like they're viewing it differently. They're viewing it, and I can't believe that they feel this way, but that's what I'm seeing. Wow, we could start Pajemski, and Pajemski might close, and we could play a little more Moody, and maybe Moody might close depending on the situation. And I don't think that flies with him. I think as much as money and years and all that is definitely baked into the pie, I think a big part of being baked into the pie is his role and how they're viewing him and how he views himself.
Is Klay in the right to question that role?
What do you mean?
With the scenario you just threw out there. Pods, Moody playing over him in crunch time. If for Klay, is it well within his right to be a little ticked off about that?
If I was Klay, yeah, I would probably be ticked off. But the reality is too also, like, he hasn't been as good, and he has more of a niche
no doubt
skill set
no doubt
for closing games. Like for this team to close games, they can ill afford to have multiple poor defenders on the perimeter.
No doubt.
And I think the fact that Steph isn't a great defender really plays in this. And that's where I question Pods, but that's a different question.
Yeah, it's because I was going to say, is Pods a better defender than Klay? If he is, by how much? And at the end of the day, too, some of the problems for the Warriors in crunch time was not just defensively at the point of attack, because that was a big issue, but also creating good looks at the rim. And if you do have Pods, and Pods' jumper doesn't improve, I expect his jumper to be a lot better than last season. That's just the growth and the repetition and the offseason work. And I expect Moody, if he's here, to be a better shooter. But if not, then your crunch time offense is going to be compromised.
Well, there's no doubt.
And all you're going to do is hold the ball. You got to hold the ball and wait for Curry to run off of multiple screens, and he's not going to have the airspace.
Yeah, but if I'm coaching the team, I'm just going me. If I'm coaching the team, and I know every decision I make is going to come with you second guessing me in terms of like, you better win, because if you don't win, then I'm going to be like, hey, what the heck? And like, I know every single time we come down the stretch in a tight game, I have to worry about your emotions and how you're going to react. And am I losing you, or is this going to be detrimental to the team chemistry and all that, given the backdrop of chemistry issues, which aren't all Klay related, okay? I want to make that very clear. I think that makes it very difficult for a coach, and I can understand when you're piecing this thing together, wanting to avoid having those conflicts because they're going to keep arising. You're not going to win every close game, right? And so if I am going to have to worry about how you're going to react there, and I'm not saying that they are, but if I have to think about that, that makes it difficult to navigate.
I don't even think it was an issue with Klay Thompson once he went to the bench. I think that went out the window. I thought he was a good soldier. From everything I saw from if we could break that down, 888-957-9570. Where are we at with Klay Thompson, Dub Nation? How are you feeling this